And I might just mute somebody. I think that might be you, Rachel. There was a bit of noise and we'll need to unmute Susie. So we are live. Welcome, everybody. It's Karen Swain here, co-host for the Conscious Awakening series for the Wish Alliance today, but I'm co-host with Sheila Seppi, but Sheila is on a date with her husband tonight. She is in Denver. She's going to go and see the grandkids. And she said that her husband said, can I take you out? Can I come to Denver and take you out for a date? And she said, oh, please, can you do it without me? Because it's been the longest time since we've been on a date night with my husband. So she's having a beautiful date night. I hope she's enjoying herself. That girl works so hard. I tell you, she well-deserved date night tonight. So I'm running this alone. So you'll all have to help me out with the format for the way that she does it. I've got Susie here. She's going to sing a song. She's going to help me out. And is April online yet? I don't think April's online. Maybe we'll start off with, we might start with your song, Susie, but we've got the delicious and wonderful Rachael Burns. I've called this month with the co-host of Galactic Gals from Down Under. So another one of the Galactic Gals is the wonderful, let me add, Rachael Burns who's also in Sydney, Australia. Hi, Rachael.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me.
So Rachael's, she's been busy lately. She's been on my show, ATP Media, and she's also been into my online Zoom groups, which is called the Inner Sanctum, which is like this, and sharing her story. But for this audience, for people watching on my YouTube channel, you've probably seen Rachael before, but for the Wish Alliance audience, you probably haven't seen Rachael do her thing. So I'll read her bio a bit later. Is April online yet? Don't think April's online yet. And we'll start with you, Susie. How about you give us a song, the gorgeous Susie?
Oh, thank you. And I read up on Rachael and all the trauma. And as StarSeeds, I think we've all had trauma. So this is kind of about the trauma that we've lived as we're breaking out of it. Oh, and this is from Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame. I don't know if you can hear me.
That's so interesting. She said, I don't know if you can hear me. And then there you go.
Yes, I know I might be an outcast. I might not speak to you. Still, I see your face and wonder, were you once an outcast too? God help the outcasts, hungry from birth. Show us the mercy we don't find on earth. Please help my people, we look to you still. We help the outcasts, or nobody will. They ask for wealth, they ask for fame, they ask for glory to shine on their name. They ask for love that they can possess. I ask for God and His angels to bless me. I ask for others, 'cause I can get by. And I know so many less lucky than I. Please help my people, the poor and downtrodden. 'Cause I thought we all were the children of God. God help the outcasts. We help the outcasts. We are the outcasts, the children of God.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much, Susie. That was just beautiful.
That's what our traumatized person feels all the time. So I can't wait to hear Rachael and all she has to offer us.
Yeah.
Oh, and if April isn't here.
Oh, sorry, darling. Your internet keeps playing up. Is April here yet? I don't know if April's not here to tell us what's happening on the Wish Alliance. Do you want to do it? Can you do it,
Well,
Susie?
I can tell you a little bit about it. I don't have the share and stuff like that, but the best part is if you go to, there's all these things where you can be an ambassador and all this, and there's art and music and poetry, but there's this little thing if you go speakers and or events, I think it is, and you go down a little bit, there's speakers, past speakers, and the neat thing, the thing you got to understand is like this one. Once Rachael speaks to us today, it'll be there, but it doesn't really show up. We can't really access it for 4 or 5 days. So you got to not be discouraged. You got to wait 4 or 5 days, but you watch the ones that are 4 or 5 days old.
Yeah, she keeps breaking up. Yeah, so the past speakers, you can watch the recordings on the Wish Alliance, wishalliance.org, if you go there. But they're all lately, over the last couple of weeks, we've been live streaming on my platform, ATP Media, on Portal to Ascension, Neil Gore's Portal to Ascension, and Alan Steinfeld's New Reality YouTube channels. So I want to honor them. I want to honor them and say thank you for allowing us to stream there to capture more of an audience. Thanks, Susie. And I'll bring Rachael on now. As I said before, Sheila is obviously, this is her baby, this is her brainchild, the Conscious Awakening series on a Monday night in the US. It's a Tuesday, mid-morning, Tuesday morning in Australia. And this month I've been co-hosting with Sheila, and I've called this the Galactic Gals from Down Under. Did everyone catch the Galactic Goddesses that we did yesterday? When was it? The day before? I know Susie did. She loved it. But wow, we had so much fun. It was so beautiful. I'm still recovering from it because it was a bit of a technical, I was sort of holding the technical space as well as holding the speakers, but Sheila was there with me, co-hosting with me. But let me introduce you to Rachael. Do you want to unmute, honey?
Hello, hi. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming.
So Rachael and I met about a couple of years ago now. We were at an event in the country, and there was a big kitchen that she was sitting in the kitchen, and I sat down at the kitchen table, and we were like instant friends. It's like we'd known each other forever, didn't we, Rachael? But
we did.
Let me read your bio. As a young child, Rachael channeled light language, or the language of light. And for much of her young life, she felt like she didn't fit in, something that's quite familiar with StarSeed. After encountering a great deal of childhood trauma, Rachael blocked many of her memories until she was around 34. This is when she encountered a deep, spontaneous remembering and eventually the healing of her toxic, limiting beliefs that she'd picked up along her physical journey from years of abuse. Rachael spent the last 30 years working with children in many different capacities, including working with additional needs children, teaching meditation, mindfulness, and movement, and facilitates children's groups. She also facilitates meditation and development groups for adults, including workshops on parenting the golden age child and opening to light language. Rachael is now working with pure God consciousness and the powerful energy of acceptance and forgiveness to return to a state of balance and harmony. She's a StarSeed psychic medium, trance channeler, intuitive artist. She is the principal of D.A.A.M.A, which stands for the Divine Awakenings Academy of the Mystic Arts, and is the creator of Mini Meditation Australia. Rachael is also a dragon master and the keeper of the codes, sharing light codes and dragon light language transmissions, which I hope you'll share some of that with us today. Yeah,
Absolutely. It's all lined up.
it's all lined up. And her website is D.A.A.M.A.com.au. So let's hear a little bit about your journey, Rachael. Like, what was going on when you were a kid?
First of all, Susie, thank you so much. That was just lovely. And there was so much of me that could relate to the energy within that. Thank you. It was beautiful. Thank you so much. Thanks, Karen, for such a great introduction. If we go back to the very beginning, I suppose there was what's going on that I didn't quite understand. And I'm sure that a lot of us have had this same experience. I'm just going to change my view so that I'm not looking at myself. There we go. Now I can see everyone. I realised from a very early age that I wasn't from here and that I didn't fit in, and I couldn't quite understand the people around me or my environment and the things that were happening. It all seemed very, very, very strange and very foreign. And there was an element of pain associated with that constantly, because I couldn't understand why these humans would behave the way that they would behave. I can remember from a very early age, probably around 3 or 4, I would pack my bags and I would move out of my house. I would leave. I would do this probably constant, daily. And I would stand and I would look up to the sky and I would talk to my star team and I would tell them that they need to come and get me now. This is over. This is enough now. They dropped me off in the wrong place, and that this was not my home, and that they needed to come and pick me up. That went on for a couple of years, where I just continued to pack my little bionic woman suitcase with all my dolls and dolls' clothes, because that's all you need when you're 3 or 4. And I would go. I'd go as far as I could without, before I got to that point of no return, before I got to that point of being really scared. Around that same age of these memories of packing my bags, I also have very clear memories of speaking light language and dropping into trance, channeling very spontaneously without really even knowing how I was doing it. It would just happen naturally. And what turned out to be very natural for me was not natural for the people around me. And so I can remember one instance of dropping into trance channel when I was it would have been around the same age, about 3 or 4, in my family living room, and speaking light language. And of course, it's the most natural state of being for me. It's a place that when I do this, I feel the most comfortable. And there's very much a feeling of home, of being at home and at one with the energies. And so my dad happened to hear me while I was speaking light language, and he came in and he said to me, "Rachael, what are you doing?" And I remember looking up at him in my innocence, perhaps naivety, and thinking, I could feel his fear. First of all, I could feel his fear. I could feel that he was scared about something, and I didn't understand what it was. And I remember thinking to myself, if I just tell him what I'm doing, he'll understand. He'll understand and he'll love it as much as I do. And I looked up at him and I said, "It's okay, Daddy, I'm in trance." And I can remember just instantly this feeling of terror coming over him. And I said to him, "It's okay, I'm speaking light language." And he was terrified. The feeling of fear I could feel just permeate completely over him and through him. And I remember looking at him and thinking, why is he so scared? Why is he so scared of me? But there was a complete lack of connection and a complete lack of understanding. And that fear really drove him to behave in certain ways that were not nice, I suppose. And so he picked me up by my hand and just smacked me and 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 smacked me. And that was his projection of his fear. And after that, I closed down to light language. I didn't speak light language anymore. But I was very, very aware that I was not from here. And that feeling of being very different and an outcast, Susie, it's so pertinent that you chose that song today, really followed me throughout my life. And I closed down to lots of things until about at the age of 26. In June of 26, I started to get what can only be likened to somebody trying to speak to me. They were really trying to deliver a message to me. And I could feel the, what's the word that I want? it was a really important, the urgency. I could feel the urgency of this message that needed to come through. And I was married by that stage and had 2 children. And I was living in another state to my parents. And my dad rang me about 2 months after, quite upset, and said that I needed to come home, that my mum was unwell. During that stage when I was receiving this message, it wasn't quite coming through. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand the frequencies. I couldn't remember having ever had anything to do with anything like this before. That's how much I had closed down after this fear-filled experience with my dad. And it was as though they were trying to tell me something, and it would come in like a radio station. It's as though my ears were being tuned like a radio station. But I just could not clarify the connection. And I went about my day until my dad called me in August and said, you need to come home, your mum's unwell. She dropped dead at work and she died. She passed. And it was after that, through my real need to connect with her and talk to her and see if she was okay, because she was my best friend, that I started meditating. And of course, everything blew wide open. All my centers opened. I was able to see, hear, feel, and know instantly. There was a deep, deep reconnection with our natural abilities, not our gifts, because it's not something that's given to us. It's something that we have innately, and we can choose to connect back to it or not. And I did. And so for the last 22 years, I've been working on refining and growing and clearing that channel and that connection. I was going.
Sorry, yeah, keep going.
You wanted to say something.
No. No, I'm just checking all the platforms that we're streaming on, and we've got lots of comments already on all the platforms. But how the format works here, Rachael, is that you share your story for about an hour, approximately 40 minutes or so, okay. And then we'll open it up to questions to the group. And people can ask you questions, unless you want to change it up and ask questions as we go along. How's everyone feeling? Do you want to ask questions as we go along, or do you want to hear the rest of Rachael's story? Well, we'll hear the rest of your story.
I'm happy. I don't know if I've got an hour's work here, but we'll keep going and see what happens. See where it takes us.
Sorry, Venus, what did you want to say, darling? Venus, you wanted to say something?
Saying like to hear the restorational story.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, you experienced a lot of abuse, and tell us how your spiritual awakening and how your memories came flooding back.
After my mum passed, and I started to really connect with my energetic side, not only the physical side, then I started to meditate, and I started having dreams of this beautiful woman that was just filled with love, filled with love and wisdom and sacred knowledge. And there was a feeling of having known her before. And at the time, my friend said to me, I've got this person, you need to come and meet her. She's a Reiki practitioner, a Reiki master. And I had done nothing like this before. And I said, okay, cool, I'll go and meet her. So I did. And as I turned up, I realised that this was the woman that I had been continually dreaming about. And she was kind enough and loving enough to sort of take me under her wing. And she mentored me for around 3 or 4 years. And she taught me pretty much everything that she knew about energy and how it works, and changing it and transmuting it and clearing and taking care of your energetic bodies, your chakras, everything that she could possibly share with me. She was kind enough to share with me for about 3 or 4 years. And through this continual quest for self-understanding, and a continual quest of trying to fit in and be like everyone else, which was never going to work. I started to become closer, I suppose, to my inner being and uncovering the truth of who I am. Around the age of 34, I started to have spontaneous memories resurface. And they were memories of being sexually abused when I was 8 by the next door neighbour's boyfriend. And then more memories surfaced of being raped when I was 10 by the next door neighbour's brother. But this one was a little bit different. This one, there was a different perspective with the one when I was raped by the next door neighbour's brother when I was 10. And for this, I can remember being there with him. And when I looked at him, his whole face had transposed. His whole face had completely changed into a reptilian form. And I could see the scales on his skin. I could see almost his whole skull completely change. And so I remember it. And then, so then it's a little bit graphic, but I can remember his skin sort of melting away and then showing me his, the form of his jaw and the way that his head was shaped. And it was at that time that I jumped out of my body. And I can remember floating above the room, in the corner of a room, watching what was happening. But it was with a sort of healthy detachment, if there is such thing, or such a thing is happening. But it was with a healthy detachment and almost a state of curiosity as to, you know, what was happening and what this being was and what he was doing and what it was representing. And so when I asked my team later on, they'd said to me that this was not about so much encountering more trauma, because there'd already been enough, but that it was about understanding reptilian and reptilian energy and the plans that are at play, and how it is that all these things are happening, what's happening with the energies behind it, and I suppose what it is that they're after, really. And so this came to form a huge part of my learning and my teaching. You know, with Earth being the great classroom that it is, this really started to form a huge foundation for a lot of the experiences and the understandings and lessons that I was to learn in this lifetime regarding energy and how it works. When I was 38, I was working at a particular place, and every day I would drive past and I would be drawn to this particular sign that was showing, and it was about breath work. And I had no idea what it was. I just knew I had to be there. And I'd felt some energies or some sort of undercurrent sort of bubbling away for some time. And I knew that it was going to be big and it was going to be hard, but I knew that it needed to come up and out. And so eventually, after months and months of driving past this sign, I decided to make a booking, and in I went. And I had one breathwork session, and all these memories surfaced of being sexually abused by my dad from a very early age, from, as you know, a small baby, with one of the first memories being around 6 months old. And so that was on the 11th of December 2012, and on the 12th of December 2012 I had a massive hysterectomy. And when I look back at that, I understand that the breathwork session was the emotional or energetic component that was being released, and that the operation that I had the next day was the physical component that was being released, because I'd harbored so much dense energy within my body from these energies and emotions, and not clearing them, that I'd become really unwell with lots of different health issues, including endometriosis and cervical cancer and fibroids and a whole list of stuff. And then after that, I had a little bit of a nervous breakdown. It was all too much. The last couple of years, or the whole lifetime really, had been. I'd chosen a doozy when I came through, that's for sure. And I didn't understand why at that stage. I didn't have the heightened perspective and the understanding around why it is that we choose these things, why we go through so much trauma. And yeah, I can definitely say that I dabbled my toe in the edge of the pool of insanity. I didn't stay there too long. It was quite an experience, actually. Not one that I would like to go back to, but I was also at that time able to be the observer and to actually see myself within this experience, which was really, really valuable. Because what I came to understand is that when you have mental illness to this degree, that you're actually, it feels like you're in a vacuum. It's like you're in this place of nothingness, and it's just barren. And there was a real feeling of being in a vacuum, like an energetic vacuum. My thoughts wouldn't I couldn't string two words together really for a couple of months, and I found it really, really hard during that time to be here. But things were slowly coming together where I was starting to understand other mental health issues that I had, you know, I'd come out of a really, really violent marriage with 2 children. And I realised at that time that I had PTSD, complex PTSD, which was an accumulation of all the trauma. But I suppose Pandora's box had been open really and there's a great deal of gratitude for that time, because finally I was starting to understand why it was that I was behaving in the ways that I was behaving, why it was that other people seemed to be so calm and I had explosive outbursts at smallest things. And I realised during that time that I'd hurt a great deal of people by being so reactive, and I realised that I didn't want to be like that anymore, that I wanted to change, that I wanted to love people, and for the outside me to truly reflect who I was on the inside. And so I worked really, really, really hard for the next couple of years, doing lots of therapies and all sorts of things to be able to get me to the point where I wasn't reactive anymore, that I wasn't reacting from that wounded, traumatized inner child. So, what are we up to now?
Oh, darling one, you're doing so well. It's not easy to recount these things. And I think that, you know, this is a common story. I've spoken about this many times on the shows, that StarSeeds, or the people that volunteered to be a part of the shift where we're going, to shift the density, to be a healer, to transform this world from their broader perspective, from their soul's perspective, they elected to take on a lot of density, a lot of trauma, and they incarnated into families that was fraught with problems. And then as humans, of course, the human game is that we come into these human existences, these human incarnations, and we forget who we are. Like, that's the game here, right? That's the game of life. And then we have these rememberings. And so what you went through initially was remembering the trauma because you'd blocked it, which is like what we do as humans. We don't want to, you know, remember stuff. And then you have to remember who you are as somebody that actually chose it. And you chose it not to be victimized by it, but to transmute it, to transform it. Because, you know, when we look at our families, when I look at my family, they're not going to do the work. You know, I came into a family fraught with violence and trauma, and mum and dad are beating each other up and going to hospital, and I've been heads cracked open, and it was just horrific. And nobody in my family were doing personal growth workshops or even going to psychiatrists or psychologists. Like, nobody did the work, but I did, you know. So that's what the StarSeed does. That's what the light weaver, the light worker does. They take on the density and then they transform it in their own life. And as we transform it for ourselves, we shift the DNA. And so the family, the lineage that comes after us, you know, they don't have to come into the trauma. So we'd love to hear how you transformed your trauma.
Thanks for that, Karen. That is a really, really great point that Karen made, is that we have chosen to come here. We've chosen to come here. We've chosen these particular experiences in order to learn what we need to learn. There's also a karmic clearing that occurs, and during that karmic clearing, it can feel like you're in hell. And for all intents and purposes, we may well be energetically as we're dredging up these things and clearing them. But we did choose to come here. And so I think I was able to, as we all are, able to attract exactly the right people that I needed at any given time. I know that through the connection with my star clan and my guides, and continuing on a personal level to just be better, you know, to be kinder, to be more loving, to be more connected, that I was able to continually connect more deeply with myself and with those around me, with my star clan. How did I transmute the trauma?
Forgiveness acceptance.
Yeah. There was a lot of work around looking at the bigger picture. And so if we, and this is one of the things that my star clan showed me, if we go back to the time before we actually incarnated in this lifetime, and we can imagine that there's a huge conveyor belt in front of us. And on this conveyor belt, one thing moves along and then we choose it. And then another thing moves along and then we choose it. And so before me stands the choice of where I'm going to live. Okay, cool, I'll pick that one. Then the next thing comes along. Who am I going to be born to? And at that time, there are souls that step forward and they say, I'll do that. I'll take up that job. I'll take up that role. I'll play the villain. I'll play the unconditional lover. I'll play the one that's going to teach this soul exactly what it is that she needs to learn so she can evolve, because I love her that much. And while I was working with these energies and able to work with the energy of forgiveness that this brought, this understanding that these people that are playing villains in our lives are actually our greatest loves. They're our greatest loves and our greatest support, because they have offered, they've put their hand up and said, I will support this soul in their evolution so that they can get to where they need to go. And that's a huge, huge advantage. It's a huge benefit. It's a huge gift that we're given in understanding people's roles in our lives and allowing ourselves to rise above the hatred and the anger and have a bigger perspective around why things are happening. There was a time that I went through when I put it all together, which is not healthy, by the way. It's probably not a good way to do it. But I remember sitting there and going, bang, 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 this has happened, that's happened, that's happened, that's happened, that's happened. How can one person possibly have so much trauma in their lives? But it wasn't until I realized my place, that my role, the reason that I came here is to actually transmute those lower dense energies. And in so learning how to transmute those lower dense energies, I'm doing it for my past ancestry, I'm doing it for myself in the present and for the collective, and I'm also doing it for my children and your children. There's a great continuum that occurs. And for each and every person that comes through with these dense energies that they've made themselves available to in this lifetime, that's one person that's clearing for the collective. Hallelujah to these brave souls, I tell you. Hallelujah to them. To all of us that have come through and chosen to do this. I've been blessed, really, when I think about it, because I've had so many tools available to me. So working with my star clan has been a huge, huge benefit and gift in up-leveling and upgrading and learning the power of forgiveness and acceptance. Acceptance can be a big one, but it's certainly available to all of us. And going through that, knowing that we actually stand at this grand conveyor belt and we choose our experiences. What is it that I'm going to learn in this lifetime? Okay, I'm going to learn about forgiveness. I'm going to learn about unconditional love. I'm going to learn about trauma. I'm going to learn about transmuting dense energy, because if I can do it, then I can teach you how to do it. And then you can teach someone else how to do it. And we can all share our wisdom and help each other to ascend and the earth, the planet, to ascend. And so, we took up the baton deliberately. We took up the baton to run with so that we can come here and we can share our magic and we can show others who may not be in the same position as us and open to the energies the way that we are, that they can transmute energy too, and exactly how they can do that. About, where are we at now? Probably 4 or 5 years ago. And this has probably been one of the major healing tools for me. It's been a continual journey that I've continued on. I've had great focus on this, on healing and not having my past affect me in the way that it was, because it was so traumatic and it was so destructive. There was a lot of destruction, in the energy that came up and out. That fire energy is great, but if it burns uncontrollably, it becomes destructive. And burn down things I did. There was no doubt about that. And so probably a couple of years ago, I was doing a Reiki healing session, because I'm a Reiki practitioner, and I was doing a Reiki healing session for a client, and I could feel this energy burst inside me and then sort of surge up. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, what is that? And then I knew instantly that there was light language that was present that wanted to come up and out. And I can remember because there was still that fear there. And I can remember standing over her with my hands over her, and like I felt this energy surge up, and I was like, oh, I didn't want it to come out. There was no possible way that I was going to let this energy come out, because the fear that was associated previously with this previous experience. And so I didn't. And then I came home and I was in the shower, and then again this energy surged up and out. So I allowed it to come and to release. And what I found is the more that I did that, the more open the channel became, and the more easily the language found its way up and out. And the more I was able to heal the fear-filled experience that I'd had previously, and the more I was able to step into the truth of who I am. And so since then, I've been working with light language and light codes, and continuing to strengthen the channel and refine the energy that comes through, and share them with others, because they are so, so powerful, the light codes and the light language. And I suppose maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I became very aware of a huge energy that wanted to make itself known to me, that had been trying for many years to make itself known to me. And when I was in meditation, I would see a particular frequency, like I would see a particular color, and it was the color of indigo. And I could feel that there was a feminine energy attached to this color. It wasn't just that I was seeing a color, it was a color that was represented, it was an energy that was represented by a color. And I would be really scared of this. And I can remember 20 years ago having this same experience and being absolutely frightened of this huge, big, powerful energy that I could feel. And recently, not recently, probably 3 or 4 years ago, when it made itself known again, but in a more strong way, I got really scared of it. And I actually likened it to dark energy, because it was so powerful. And at that time, without understanding what I needed to understand in order to accept it, I related it to dark energy. It wasn't dark energy. It was actually a beautiful, beautiful being that had worked with me for many, many, many lifetimes, and joined me again in this one. And I can remember standing at the oven cooking and hearing this beautiful, velvety, rich voice, very loving, very wise voice talking to me. And I remember thinking, oh, I know you and I love you. I just love you so much. And I remember looking over, I'd just gotten a little dog who I called Indigo. Her name is Indigo. I just knew that her name had to be Indigo, Indy. And I remember looking over at her, and I saw her transpose from a little tiny dog into a massive, huge, big dragon. And of course, my dragon had made itself known to me. And we've been working together ever since. And so this, even though she's not going to like me moving her, is Indy. She's got her jumper on again, Karen, because it's cold today. So,
the dragon dog.
the dragon dog. And so she talks to me constantly, and I do to her, and it's quite beautiful when I speak to her in light language, because she just relishes it. She just soaks it all up. And of course, whenever I'm doing any sort of work or interviews or any healing work or anything, she comes and sits on my lap and joins in all the beautiful energy.
Oh, beautiful. The beautiful Indy. You know, I don't know if you want to share this, but when I first met Rachael, she was still quite in the trauma, especially from her father, because I think that when we remember the abuse or we retain the abuse that somebody like a parent, places on us, every fiber in our being says, but this person's supposed to love and nurture me. How could they have been so cruel? And so you were still very much in the trauma of that. And do you want to share the session that we did together, and when you went into your higher self and met your father's higher self? Because I just thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. I was really still caught in that trauma and that pain, and I hadn't yet come to realize the true meaning of his role in my life, and exactly the role that he'd played and what he had given up, I suppose, in order to play that role. I've had more information come through about that too, but I'll share that too. So I had a session with Karen. There were some things going on in my body, and I was getting messages left, right, and centre that I needed to pay attention to this energy that was dense within my body, or I would become quite ill. And so I booked a message with Karen, and we went to meet my mum, who I used to have many, I should have mentioned that actually. I used to have many travels with her during the time since she passed. But I went to meet my mum, and I remember seeing her as this beautiful, big, shiny, clear, pure light energy. And then so Karen took me through some things, and she said to me, what is it that your mum came here to teach you? And I said, unconditional love. Everything became apparent in that moment, that she was my teacher of unconditional love. Thank goodness. She was just the most wonderful lover of people and of me. I was blessed in that way. And then we moved on to my dad. And I remember seeing him in his physical form, and then in his energetic form. And his energetic form, his light body, was bigger and brighter and clearer and more luminescent than my mum. And in that moment, I realised what a gift he was to me in my spiritual evolution, and the role that he played. And so Karen said to me, what was his role here? And I said, it's a little bit hard for me. I'm finding this a little bit difficult, but it's almost as though he has come through in this lifetime and given up his chance at evolving by playing the villain, which of course is the highest form of unconditional love, isn't it? And so it became very, very clear that all of this was by design, that I had chosen this lifetime with these experiences, with these beautiful souls who had in one way or another sacrificed certain things for themselves so that they could bring through this light, this StarSeed, this light being, and support me in my spiritual evolution. And it all made sense in that moment. It all completely made sense. And I remember being overcome by a huge amount of gratitude and unconditional love for my parents, and especially for my dad, who had hurt me so badly in this lifetime. This was a really pivotal moment. It was a really pivotal moment and place that I hadn't been before, but was so glad that I was there, so grateful that I was able to see that.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. I think that is such an important message. I first remember reading about this before I actually embodied it in the book's Conversation with God. There is he did a little book called Little Soul in the Sun, and these two souls are having a conversation before they incarnate into this physical density, and they're talking about the roles that each one will play. And the one that plays the villain, the other soul asks that one, can you play the villain for me so that I can understand what forgiveness is, and I can understand these things that from my perspective in the sun I don't understand. And the one that plays the villain is doing that out of more unconditional love than the one that plays the victim, actually. Right. And from our linear human mind perspectives and our ego perspective, we find that hard to understand. But when you do get in touch with your higher perspective or your dimensional perspective, you get it. You completely get it. But as humans, we have to keep remembering that all the trauma that we've lived happened for us and not to us. And it's something that many people find hard to remember. What does Jimmy say here? The light being cloaked as the dark father hits home. Thanks for sharing, Rachael. Yeah, there's like heaps of people commenting on all the platforms. There's so many beautiful comments and lots of love coming your way. Yeah, from Sugar Bee and the heaps of people, Divine, the people's Luna Lotus, Sugar Bee, Divine Natural, all these funny names on YouTube. But and they're loving the indie dog dragon. All right. Well, before we go into questions, do we want to do questions now, or do we want to do some channeling, some light codes?
I thought we might go into some questions if we can. And I'm open to questions.
Well, Rachael, do you want to come on camera? Aussie Rachael?
Yeah, the Rachael. Hi.
Hi, Rachael.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, something so intimate and deep. It really helps us all to connect and relate to our own experiences, which are similar, and help us all heal. So yeah, thank you for that. My question is, which D.A.A.M.A family do you most connect with? Where are they from, and can you tell us a bit more about that?
I'm still really opening. Thanks, Rachael, for your question. It's a great question. I'm still really opening up to remembering more about that. But the strongest connection I feel is with Vega and the bird beings, the blue beings. And I've had confirmation of this throughout my life when I sit back and look at it all, put it all back together. But I'm also in resonance with Arcturian energy, so I channel Arcturians and the Pleiadians. And so I really feel as though we're all bitses. We're bits of this and we're bits of that. Throughout our evolution of our energetic beings, I don't believe that we all just come from one particular place, that, we've all been to different star systems and different energetic spaces within the galaxy, and that we're doing our best at evolving to the greatest expression of ourselves that we can, and that in order to do that, we do that by being here, there and everywhere, and being a bitzer. But for now, it's certainly Vega for me, but I'm still opening up to it and still learning more about that.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
Do you have any idea what's your strongest connection?
So yeah, my strongest connection is to the Pleiadians, as well as the Syrian star family. So they're my two strongest, but also to the cherub lineage from the angelic realm. So they're my three strongest. And yeah, like you said, we've had many different lives, but I feel that I've had sort of the most lives from the Pleiadian
beautiful
star systems.
We're actually going to do a Pleiadian activation today.
Awesome. Exciting.
With the dragons, and the light language. So that's what came through when I was asking what I was going to do today, and they're like, do this, and I was like, okay. Great, we'll do that.
Rachael, whereabouts are you in Australia?
So I was in Melbourne, but I left there last year. So now I'm on the East Coast. So I'm in just south of Byron Bay.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So,
lucky you.
Yeah, well, from the flooding, but yes, otherwise lucky we.
Yeah, it's been raining. And thanks, Rachael. And to two Rachels, Rachael, and Susie, you've got things you want to say.
So I'd like you to talk about dragons. I just bought see if you can see this. This is an instrument yesterday, but it's got a big dragon across it.
Wow.
And I'm listening to the book by I forget her name, but the 11th chapter says, meet your dragons, and you listen to that, and she said, you just ask, and I started, and everything, somebody gave me a dragon crystal, and I went by and I saw dragons everywhere going downtown, and I mean, it was crazy. So please, would you talk a little bit more about dragons? I love your little puppy. That's a cool story. I love it. But I just love dragons, and I'm just so hungry to figure out how to get more of them in my life. And I heard if you get a gold dragon, you get a lot more money. So I'm looking for a gold one. Thank you, Rachel. You're so awesome. I love you. You make me feel so at home with my life. I mean, you really do. Explaining what you've been through makes me feel safe. Thank you.
Oh, Susie, that's lovely. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that that's what you get from this today.
Yeah.
Susie, I just want to tell you, Sugar Bee on YouTube says that she loves your hat.
You're perfectly combined. You're perfectly matchy there, Susie. You've got the head and the back, the hat and the backdrop just looks beautiful.
Well, and the dress, and I don't know if you know, but I got an orange bra to match the dress. So, I mean, it works out, right? My first degree was in fashion design, and I'm having so much fun trying to keep up. But you made me feel so comfortable. But talk about dragons a little bit for us.
Okay, so is the book that you're reading Diana Cooper? By Diana Cooper?
No, something Saint Germain.
Maureen Saint Germain.
Maureen, yeah, and her 11th chapter. She's got a book called Waking Up in 5D, and the 11th chapter. I listened to it over and over and over because she talks about, and she's got a physicist husband who asks her to call on her dragons when they're in traffic and crazy. Yeah. I mean, it's so cool. I just love it. So yeah, talk to us about that. You're so awesome.
I've read that book too. Diana Cooper has some really great stuff out as well, and a lot of activations that are really, really great. I think her book is called, I've got it here actually, Dragons. It's called Dragons. Funny enough. So yeah, she's got some great books. So dragons are here at the moment. It's almost like a portal has been opened, and there was a portal opened around 2012 and again in 2016, where the planet has become flooded with dragons and dragon energy. And so dragons are here to help us remember who we are. They're here to remember joy, for us to connect to joy and to have fun. They're here to help us connect to love, but also to connect to wisdom, to our innate wisdom. And through being able to ground our wisdom into this physical form, into this physical life, and share it with others, then that means that what we're doing is helping with the ascension of humanity and the planet. And so dragons are really very easy to connect with. If you want to call in your dragon, you can do it in meditation. You can do it just now. Just say, I really want to meet you. Can you come in and talk to me? Can you show me evidence of your presence in my life? Show me the connection that I have with you. And then, you're going to ask for their name. So I've got three main dragons at the moment that are working with me. I've got a four-headed fire dragon, and I have a earth dragon, and another one, a galactic dragon called Celestia, which is Indy. Indy is the physical form of my energetic galactic dragon called Celestia. And so it's really, really easy to connect with them. They are very, very powerful beings, and they like to get in very quickly and do the work and then get out and then have fun. But there's really no mucking about. It's either being quite serious and doing the work or having fun, but have fun they will. And so they tend to bring a lot of joy and laughter and love to your life. They can help with all sorts of different things. So yes, I remember reading that too, Susie, about the traffic, and it works. So I was driving up the coast not long ago, and there was traffic jams everywhere, and I was like, oh, I've got to sit in this traffic. And I remember what she'd said, and I called in my dragon. I said, Dragon, you drive for me. Let the dragons do the driving. And all of a sudden, here I was putting along, driving along, and all of a sudden the car moved this way, and then another car in front of me moved that way, and there was just a clear path all the way up. And so it was brilliant. Also, when I'm looking for a park, I always ask the dragons to go higher, give me the higher perspective, the aerial view, if you will, of where it is a really good park. And so you can learn to work with the elements with the dragons. There's, of course, the fire, air, water, and earth. And we're going to call in the dragons when we open the circle later. And yeah, learning to work with them, they can do great, great things within your life. So different dragons will help you with different things. So fire is about transmuting energy. Water is about finding with ease and grace, how to move around obstacles and be more fluid, being the energy of giving and taking. Earth dragons will help with grounding and bringing your mission into this earth and really grounding it into the physical and sharing it with the world. But also we've got air is wonderful for communication, and finding peaceful, loving, respectful communication. There's so many things that they can help us with. The list is endless. What else can I think of off the top of my head?
They work with the angelic kingdoms.
They do work with the angelic kingdoms. It's as though they work hand in hand, and they also act as a bridge for our star clan. It's almost like they're an energetic step up. If you're not quite at that place where you're able to energetically connect with the higher realms of the star clan realms, then the dragons sort of act as an in-between man, if you will, a middleman that can help us to connect with our star clan. So they come in a lot when I'm doing activations and things with people connecting with their star clans. Susie, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was guided to Anne McCaffrey's books. I don't know if you know them. They're science fiction and they're old. I think she died already, but I started with them probably 12, 15 years ago, and everybody has a fire lizard and there are these dragons. It's on another planet, but I was just so entranced by this that when I read Maureen St. Germain's book, and the 11th chapter, I play it over and over at night. I listen to it at night when I can't sleep. Because when I ask, it says ask, she said, ask for the names of your dragons. And I got 2 names instantly. And it was just like, I think I've been feeding on this energy for a long time, but I just didn't know it. And when she said, look for it. I mean, everywhere I looked, I went driving and I saw a Red Dragon restaurant and there was dragons. I mean, and I didn't know. She said she didn't know for a long time, but then she realized she was taking pictures of dragons and she had bought her son a little baby dragon. So I think it's magical, and I think it's like the angels. They grow if we ask for their help. They grow, but they won't help us unless we ask. So I'm asking for my dragons, and I still want a gold one. I need a financial dragon right now. I love you. You're so awesome. Thank you so much, Rachael.
Thanks, Susie. I remember. So I have another fire dragon called Aurora, and I remember asking for her name, and it came through very, very clearly that her name was Aurora. And at that time, I work with children also, and I was working with a family, and he had this beautiful red dragon. And I remember at that specific moment while I was at work saying to them, are you sure that that's what the name is? Like, I doubted myself. You know how we doubt ourselves, right? And I remember saying to them very clearly, are you sure that's what the name is? And I got it again, Aurora. And I said, oh, can you give me a sign that that's what it is? And at that very moment, this little boy walked in with this beautiful big red dragon. And I heard them say to me, look at the tag on it. And I picked it up and I looked at the tag and it said Aurora. I was like, yay. That's exactly what it is. That was my confirmation, and it will come through very fast. It will come through very clear. The energy of dragons is very swift. It's very it's filled with clarity. If you're having problems determining something, 2 things or even more, and you're confused and you can't quite seem to find clarity, call in the dragons, because the dragons will give you that clarity. It's like they have laser focus that will just cut through all the dross and just give you that absolute clarity that you need.
Oh, I love that. We even got a snort out of you today, Rachael.
That happens when I have like a really big laugh and I'm like, oh.
We've got lots of comments. People are loving this. Dragonflies bring back my childhood, Sugar Bee says. They love clotheslines and where they sneak behind them and catch them. Yeah, dragonflies. People love their dragonflies. I've always been into unicorns and wolves. Dragons love them too. Ryan S. There's wonderful shows, you guys. Thank you. And I needed to hear that in my life. Divine Natural says, I have no idea which one is for me. Channel more than 15 kinds of light language, but don't know how to recognize which one of that and where it's from. I think that was back when we were talking about light language. Has anybody else got any other questions about dragons or light codes for Rachael in the Zoom? Just put up your little yellow hand or your other color hands. Everyone's very quiet. But yeah, do you want to talk about your light codes?
Sure. I actually I put aside some light codes there to show you if you'd like to see. But light codes and light language are a beautiful gift that's been that we've been given access to. And again, I'm seeing around 2016 that there was a huge influx of light energy into Mother Earth. And so the light codes that are available to us traveling through the sun, they are shared from the grand central sun that is then filtered in through our sun and then onto us, these beautiful light codes. And for those of you that don't know much about light codes or light language, light codes are really a powerful tool to assist us with evolving and healing and ascension that we may not have otherwise had access to. There was a time that the light codes were not streamed into the earth because, in times gone by, they fell into the wrong hands and they were used against people rather than for the highest good. But it's very, very different now. They're a combination of multi-dimensional light, sound, and vibration and information, all sort of captured in a snapshot and laid in physical form using dots and lines, or using the voice, or using movement, or any type of vibration they come through. Toning can be a type of light language also. And they hold an energetic frequency and ancient wisdom so great that it's beyond our lineal understanding. It's beyond our ability to understand exactly what it is with the 3D mind. But that's the great gift of light codes and light language, is that it takes us out of the 3D mind and into the heart, which is where we're moving as we ascend to the 5th dimension. It's about the feeling brain rather than the thinking brain, and being able to intuit and discern information through the heart rather than through the brain. They really encourage us to expand our consciousness and awareness far beyond what we see physically and think linearly. Again, a great gift, because this is really expanding our abilities and our connection to the physical earth and to our energetic selves. And they really help us to understand what we don't know and what we can't put into words, excuse me, about ourselves and the universe. They're a magnificent tool for healing and connection, and there is great information that comes through with them. So what I might do, I don't know if I can do it. Can I share my screen, Karen?
Can you? Yeah. Is it working?
Oh, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, okay. Let me make you co-host, because I'm on Sheila's Zoom. Where are you? Here we go. Make co-host. There we go. Now you should be able to.
Okay. I'll show you this one. So this came through on Lionsgate. It's actually not. I don't know if you can see that. It's not full screen. I don't know how to fix it. Sorry, guys. This light code came through on Lionsgate 2020. And this was really about bringing through the light codes that connect us even more strongly with the grand central sun. You can see the lines and dots here actually encapsulate or hold different frequencies and energies that are introduced to our energetic field and allow upgrades and healing in a way that we really don't have access to anything else. Like, there's nothing else that really does it in this way. This is a beautiful gift. So that's the grand central sun.
The way I understand light codes and language of light really is the way that the galactics communicate is so different to the way us humans communicate. Like the way we communicate is so slow.
Yes.
It's like being on slow motion turned up full max. So they communicate telepathically. They can like throw a packet of energy at you, which would be like a 2-hour conversation that you can receive in an instant. The analogy has been given. It's like if you put a movie, or if you give somebody a DVD, the minute you give it to them, they've received the information, but the information, if you draw it out, is like 2 hours long, and so light codes are the same. Light codes and light language, they speak beyond the linear logical mind, going straight into the subconscious or into the superconscious, delivering information or delivering remembrance that the soul understands, that can activate within the linear human mind. Is that making sense?
Absolutely. That's a great explanation. They're light waves, and the light waves carry the vibration and frequency and information. And so this information is way beyond our little human form.
Yeah.
But when we look at it, there's a feeling of remembrance, there's a feeling of connection, and like, oh, I've seen this before, like,
yeah,
it's not as though we're introducing something new. We're remembering that this is who we are and this is how we communicate. And it's a library of information. It's an absolute library of information that's carried on a particular dot or line or vibration.
Exactly. And we have to look at it outside of trying to understand it. Like the logical mind says, let me work this out. Let me try and understand that. I think that when we stop trying to understand it, can we see a couple of those other ones?
Yes, I'm going to try and figure out how I can do that.
Oh, can't you just like scroll along?
Hang on. This one.
There was a great question on YouTube. There's been heaps, but as I was scrolling through them, I think it was Ryan S. said, how do I connect to my higher self? I thought, let Rachael have a stab at that one. Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, so this is the one that we did together, Karen. This was the alignment for the new earth energy.
Beautiful.
So when they come through, and I'll answer your question, Ryan, because that's a really great question. When they come through to me in layers. So for this one, I saw the smaller circle on the bottom and then the big circle in the middle and then the small circle on the top. That was the first layer. And then another detailed layer will come in. So the bigger shapes in the middle of the big circle came in. And then the third, there's always three. It always comes in 3. And then the smaller details came in. And they actually sit in my energetic field. They drop into my energetic field, and they sit there until I release them. They sit there until I ground them into some sort of physical form, whether it's light language or through actually drawing light codes. And there's one other I wanted to show you. This is really super powerful. So these are part of the Dragon Code series that I'm doing. And this is a fire code. It's a fire light code. And I can feel it churning away some of the energy in my solar plexus at the moment. This is really, really powerful for penetrating some very dense energy. That type of energy that would have made me sick all those years ago. This is the light codes that will help to penetrate that and break it up and disperse it, because you're working with the energy of fire, and it's a dragon light fire code, fire light code. And so this is really, really, really powerful, this one. Again, you can see the dots and lines, and on the inside of the triangle there's some written light language.
I'd love to hear how it's affecting people when they look at it. Like, do you just think it's a pretty picture? Do you think, it confuses me? Doc Duchess Carla says on YouTube, I can feel this one.
Beautiful, because that's where we need to come at it from. It's not a matter of understanding it. If we're trying to understand it through the 3D lineal mind, we're missing the gift.
And Mo A says, I can feel that light fire code. You guys on Zoom, cat's eyes, strong energies, how's it affecting you? Let's hear from you. Who's getting anything? Oh, it's raining again in Sydney. What a change. Anybody? Or do you want to, while we've got nobody saying anything, we are immortal, so are you, it says on. Yeah, there's heaps. I'm loving this topic. Great conversation. I want to channel light. Mo A says, do you want to have a go at how we connect to our higher self, which was the question that Ryan asked?
Mm-hmm. So we are always constantly connected to our higher selves. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to be anything. We don't need to see anyone. We're always connected to our higher selves. But what you can do is to open and clear the channel, to allow the energy to flow freely between the lower self as in our physical body, and the higher self, the oversoul. And so the way that we can do this is to see a channel that starts at the crown chakra and connects up and out into the cosmos. And if you know, it helps me when I'm doing it, when I started to do this and started to realize that there's a whole lot more than just me here, and that I'm constantly always connected to my innate wisdom because of my connection to my higher self. It always helps me to, and there's something actually, I wrote it down. When I am doing my morning practice, because I do my morning practices every morning, there's a process, I suppose, that I do that enables me to keep the channel open. And so I see a channel that's actually extending from the uppermost parts of the cosmos. And so that's the God self. That's where, you know, God, creator, source sits in the uppermost parts of the cosmos. And then I see that channel move down and connect in with my star clan next, whoever that is. And it doesn't matter whether you know who your star clan is or not. If you set the intention to connect to your star clan, then you will connect to your star clan. And then after that, I see that channel run down into my higher self. And I see that huge expanded oversoul that has the knowledge and experiences from every other lifetime that I've been in, and every other experience that I've taken part in or been part of. And I see that channel completely cover the oversoul or expand around the oversoul. And then I see myself, and I see that channel run down over my physical body. I also see that channel connecting with my heart, because we want to get connected more with our heart than our mind. And then I see that channel escape down through my feet and into Mother Earth, so that I'm constantly grounded. And this is a really, really great way of opening to our higher knowing and connecting in with our innate wisdom, our sacred knowledge. That is a whole lot more than just what we linearly know with our 3D mind. And this is how we can connect into our huge, huge source of wisdom. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Do you want to stop sharing your screen now? Susan
Sorry.
says, it feels creepy to me, to be honest.
You know, some depending on where you're at and the density and, you know, different things that you're doing, some of the light codes may feel quite heavy to you, but there's a reason for that. So I remember pulling through or bringing through, channeling a light code that I sit with me, and it's a code for connection. And I remember thinking, wow, that feels so heavy. Like, it feels really not heavy as in dark, but just heavy. Like there's a strong, deep connection. And so, you know, I have this in my room where I'm sitting at the moment. And I realized that that's actually my anchor. It's my anchor that keeps me connected in the most powerful way, actually, than any of the other light codes that I have done.
Deborah has a question here. Where are you, Deborah? Oh, sorry, you're going in and out. Deborah, do you want to come on? Do you want to come on camera? No, probably not. Or do you want me just to ask you a
And it
question?
says here that the recording's paused too. Is it meant to be?
Yeah, my internet's unstable. Are we going in and out? But anyway, she says, what does the constant hissing in the ears mean?
Constant hissing?
Hissing.
Hissing.
Ask your clan. Ask your
I am.
mob.
I'm asking them now. So what they're giving me is I'm hearing the word connection, but they're relating it to, so some of us, and I know I do, I get ringing in my ears, but like a high-pitched ringing in my ears. And this is often messages that are coming through from our star clan, and frequencies and vibrations that are coming through. The hissing in your ears, first of all, I'd go and get it checked, seriously, to make sure, and this is always a good rule of thumb with anything that's happening within our bodies, to make sure that it's not a physical ailment. But I'm actually hearing for you that it's a connecting, and that it's actually going to evolve onto something else. It's not going to stay with the hissing. It's going to change into something else. Sorry, Karen.
Sorry, there's a bit of internet because it's pouring again here in Sydney. I don't know if that's making any difference to the internet, but the internet's sort of dropping in and out. Yeah, look, Rachael and I had lunch recently, and we were talking about how our hair is falling out, and after some of the symptoms after we had the flu, or as it's now been renamed, you know what, COVID-19. People call the flu COVID-19 now. But at the beginning of the year, we talked about this with Geraldine Orozco. I had a show talking all about how we're having physical DNA upgrades, and it is affecting us physically. And there's been a lot of channeled messages coming through that what we are calling this virus that's going over the planet is actually people letting go of density, letting go of toxins, and having physical changes in their body as they're able to hold different frequencies, higher frequencies. But Rachael got a whole channeling on all the symptoms. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Let me see. I've got it here, actually. And so while I was unwell, I'm such a curious person, and I just love to find out things, and I'm constantly asking questions, and I will go down the rabbit hole time after time after time, because I'm constantly, one question will lead to another. And so while I had my downtime with the flu, I was asking them, what's this mean? And what's that mean? And why are we having this? And what purpose is this serving? And so they came through with a whole lot of very detailed, very clear information. And so it came through, and we'd gotten this information before, that this is actually a light body upgrade, and that huge amounts of light are being introduced to the body, and that it's actually taking us out in order that we rest enough for the upgrade to take effect and to be integrated in a way that serves us well. The severity of what this flu brings is in direct relation to the work that you've done before. So if you're at a point where you haven't done a great deal of energetic work, you may find it quite challenging, because upgrades they make us stretch in ways that we probably haven't before, and that stretching can be really uncomfortable, can feel really uncomfortable. And so they brought through a whole lot of things about the light body, the grid around our physical body, around what each symptom means. And so if we have a look here, the loss of appetite is actually showing us how little we need to eat, because there's a huge emotional dependence upon food for us. And so every time that we're eating, we need to stop and ask ourselves, am I feeding my emotions, or am I feeding my body? If the answer is that we're feeding our emotions, then they're the emotions that we need to look at, and become the beautiful, loving parent of the inner child that's really experiencing these emotions and trying to stuff them down with food. And I have absolutely done that in the past. The temperature that we experience with the shaking and the cold, and the burning is the hot, and the higher temperature, the hot is burning away all lower dense energies and frequencies that may have been hard to permeate and disperse before. Any of the dense energies not in alignment with the energy of the crystalline light body or where we're going as a collective. The shaking, the cold, breaks up what has remained and literally gives us a good shake up, enabling a release of these energies from its dense hold. What else was interesting in here? Dizziness. Oh, I found this really interesting because I've had many issues with dizziness in the past. And now that they've brought through this information, it makes so much sense. So they said that it's an absolute recalibration, a sense of being off balance and anchoring the new energies while still releasing the old. So there's that feeling or that sense of having one foot in the old camp, one foot in the old and one foot in the new. And that we can choose to move into the new energies with ease and grace while effortlessly releasing the old, and that this will help to calm the dizziness, because then we're actually on more solid ground. We've got more solid footing. I found this one lovely. So for the people that I've spoken to that have had the flu, especially most of my friends who are very clearly connected to their higher selves or their, God source, something that they came through with was that there was a disconnection, that they felt as though their teams weren't there, that they were sort of out there floating on their own. And so I asked them about this, and they said that it's a complete shutdown while the energy of the crystalline body is overlaid, activated, and strengthened. It's reserving energy. And then they went on to say, and I found this lovely, they came through and said that we are still being held by them. They've taken a step back while we integrate the energies. They are in complete trust of the process and are encouraging us to be too. There is nothing else we have to do but to lean into the beautiful opportunity of this upgrade. I thought that was lovely. And the hair, losing of the hair.
The hair.
Yeah, this has been a big one. I've had this a lot. I've heard this a lot amongst our friends, Karen, and losing hair. So it came through a little while ago that our hair is actually antenna. And it's through these antenna that we're able to pick up refined energies and then transmute the information in a way that we can sort of understand it. And so these antenna pick up and relay refined energies, acting as a communication center and link to the physical and energetic world around us. Once we've had the flu and the crystalline light body has been activated, some will lose hair and then regrow new antenna that is able to hold and transmit a higher frequency. So I love that because I can see my hair starting to grow back. So every time I look at it, I'm like, woohoo, I've got new antenna that can hold a higher frequency. And so this information came through from the Arcturians. I've been channeling the Council of Elders, which is the highest group of the Arcturians, for about the last 17 years. And they constantly bring through lots and lots of information to me. So that was some of that. Moving forward, the way that we can best support ourselves is through a high vibe diet, drinking lots of purified water, finding a place of love and acceptance for ourselves as we continue to grow into and accept and connect more deeply with who it is that we are, like the truth of who we are and what it is that we're here to do. Sleeping, getting enough sleep. It's all about loving ourselves and really treating ourselves as the divine temple that we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a great channeling. And there's more to it. And Rachael has just started her YouTube channel, and she put up more, it's more in depth on her YouTube channel. What did you call your YouTube channel, Rachael?
Rachael Burns.
Rachael Burns. There you go. But the thing is that it's brand spanking new. So if you Googled, because YouTube is Google, if you put in Rachael Burns, probably my show or this would show up. So maybe we need to put in a link. But as we were talking about the hair, because you and I were sort of talking about the hair, because it's kind of distressing with all your hair falls out. I felt like a chemotherapy patient. I'd wash my hair and I'd just have handfuls of hair falling out. And my hair is so wispy thin. It feels like fairy floss now. I used to have a lot of hair. It's thin, but I used to have a lot of it. And I was thinking about the antenna thing, but there are a lot of ETs that are completely bald. They don't have hair. Why don't they have hair? And then the guidance came to me that Well, humans need the antenna because humans haven't got the agility of their mental capacity like an ET does. Once you've developed your mental capacity to be able to focus in multidimensional streams and communicate telepathically and project your consciousness, and you understand how to do all that, you don't really need that extra antenna as the hair. And I thought, oh, right, that makes total sense. You know, like humans are like babies. We're babes in the wood when it comes to understanding our mental faculty. You know, we get upset, and when we stay in upset and we don't even understand that by simply changing a thought, we can change our whole circumstances. And the agility of their mental capacity that the higher civilizations have is just so beyond where humans are collectively at the moment. So we need all the help we can get. Lots more hair, please, to be able to receive
These
light.
people walking around with hairy legs and armpits and
lots of hair, lots of hair, lots of hair. I mean, you think of primitive humans, they were like hair everywhere, all over them. Yeah, but so we're upgrading to a new species here on planet Earth. Has anybody else got any questions? Restream just sent me a message saying, what does Sugar Bee say? I hate letting go of all the hair, lol. Stop dyeing your hair. But Restream said you've had over 100 messages. So there's been lots of messages. Thanks, Restream, for telling me that we've had over 100 messages. But anyone on Zoom, anybody, you're all very quiet today. Are you missing Sheila? What does constant hissing? We've had that. Even Venus has and anchor like symbols. Love it. Enchanting. Thank you. Well, what we might do to finish off, if there's no more questions, I know there's probably heaps on YouTube, is we might do a bit of a activation and some galactic, maybe some dragon. What do you say? Just let the
absolutely.
guides. Yeah, you said that they wanted to do something Palladian, so go for it, hun.
Thank you. So I always step out of the way when I'm doing stuff like this, and I ask what it is that they would like me to bring through. And so the information I got today is that we're going to do a Pleiadian activation with a Pleiadian blue rose, which is the Christ light. It's a 33-petaled blue rose. And, of course, we're going to open a circle of divine, clear light, and that will act as a portal for us, and we're going to do that using the dragons. And so this is part of my morning practices. Every day I do this. I call in my dragons, and I open a circle using dragon energy. Amazingly powerful. As I speak the light language, because light language will also come through and provide healing and love, like just the most beautiful love energy. As I'm doing that, allow yourself to drop out of the mental mind and to drop into the heart and to stop the thinking and start the feeling. Feel the words, feel the vibration rather than thinking about it and perhaps even allowing it to be a barrier to receiving the information and the activation, the energy that wants to come through today. And so with so much love, I hope you so enjoy this. It's just beautiful. I invite you all to sit back gently in your seats and close your eyes over. And as I can feel our dragons around us now, pay attention to your breath, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And with each in-breath, raising the tongue to the roof of the mouth and drawing that air in through your nose. And on the out-breath, dropping the tongue from the roof of the mouth and allowing that air to escape out through your mouth. And breathing in, breathing that air right down through your nose, down through your throat, filling each shoulders, each arm, your hands, and continuing to breathe at a pace that is comfortable for you. On the next in-breath, pulling that air right down and watching it, feeling it, recognizing it, hearing it as it moves down through the chest and fills the chest and lands in the pelvis in a beautiful big red balloon. With each in-breath now, as you raise your tongue to the roof of your mouth, draw that air right down into this balloon. You see, hear, feel, or recognize this balloon fill in all directions, out to the front, out to the back, and either side. And that balloon on each in-breath expands and expands and expands. And on the exhale now, as you drop the tongue and allow the air to escape out through your mouth, that balloon completely deflates, hollowing out your belly, allowing the shoulders to stay in place, with your belly being the only thing that is rising and falling. And I invite you to continue filling this beautiful red balloon, watching as it expands, and allowing the air to release from this balloon, hollowing out your belly. As we open the circle and call in the dragons, to the dragons of the north, fire dragons, lend us your endurance so we may continue on our journey. Teach us how to be still mid-flight amongst all the chaos and guide us to drink from the sweet nectars of life. Clear and burn all lower, dense energies and transmute them to higher frequencies, frequencies of determination and inspiration, power, trust, direction, love, hope, and joy. Grandmothers and grandfathers, come and warm your hands by our fire. Whisper words of wisdom to us in the winds. We honour you, those who have come before us. Thank you for all your wisdom shared and all your experiences. We honour you, those who have come after us, our children, and their children's children. We thank you.
Te sundui kumburi ta o ar oi katai handishin ero kutash. Kor oya aishin te e katu uri kumbui kataru katai.
To the dragons of the east, air dragons, come to us from the land of the rising sun. Help us to rise above earthly matters. Keep us under your wing and show us the mountains we only dare to dream of and how to soar above its heights. Lend us your eyes, give us a higher perspective and share with us inspiration and hope. Show us the way of clear, honest and respectful communication. Teach us how to be one with source energy, how to fly gracefully wing to wing with the great Sophia, the great spirit. We thank you.
Te hukundoi shando oe koto ea ko ora moa ash. Kor oi pur o kotishin ta rakatishin to or ikuto umba arekatash. Tish ora ayak a umbo o kat shinda ora.
To the dragons of the south, earth dragons, great serpent, wrap your coils of light around us. Teach us to shed the past the way you shed your skin. Show us how to connect with earth, how to ground our being, our work, our mission into this physical life and be one with abundance and prosperity. Clear the path ahead for us. Clear the blockages, clear the land and clear the ley lines. Show us to walk the beauty way, to walk softly on Mother Earth, with our bellies towards Mother Earth so we can hear her heartbeat and hear her calling. We thank you.
Pur e oi arachinda aikit ur ikiti umba ayak. Pur e o shundui kiti ikit hera o ai altuku shin e. Ti oi ara e o kant umbur e ai shinda aikiti shinda e go to inu mori kata.
To the dragons of the west, water dragons, show us the way of love and peace and to live impeccably with truth and integrity from our heart space. Teach us how to open to the energy of giving and receiving. Open and clear our creative center, birthing and bringing to life our divine creations. Show us how to flow easily around objects and challenges and to move forward with grace and tranquility. Show us how to connect, to flow with ease and grace and to maintain constant movement of Christ light within ourselves and within the waters of the planet. Clear our channel to our psychic abilities and intuition so that we may have clear connection with source and with our higher selves. Show us how to have right relations with ourselves, with the planet, with our community, with all sentient beings, with all living beings. We thank you.
Ti shund e kut ar e kat oi. Te shund au kuntu umburi au kunta ai shund ar e kut shindi undo. Mere e o kan ai o umbur ai o kut shinda ar e kut shand undo. Mother Earth, Great Mother, Pachamama, Mother Gaia, we thank you for your bountiful beauty, nurturance, and sustenance. We thank you for being the external reflection to our internal worlds. We gather here today for the healing and celebration of all your children, the stone people, the plant people, the four-legged, the two-legged, the creepy crawlers, the finned, the furred, the feathered, and the winged, all our relations. We thank you. Te shunduri rumbu kera ayo kushunda umbuk ishund ikat ar. Te oi ayo shindi ikund ia o kat ai oye kata shinde. Chandui o umpur e ai shind ik dishindu ukut oar umbukar ayatash. Father Sky, Indy Sun, Grandmother Moon, and Star Nation beings, Great Spirit, the Great Sophia, you who are known by 1,000 names, you who are the unnameable one, we thank you. We thank you for gathering us here today in this time, space, reality. We thank you for guiding us by your light to live another day, to dance another dance, to sing our soul song on the earth, guiding us by your light, illuminating our path forward. We thank you. Shunduri unduri akutushindu umbu kotar. I unduri ayashindu ukupu ur ayokota aishindu iktar. The great in between. I place my hand on my heart and feel my heartbeat beating as one with Mother Earth. I give thanks for the I am presence. I give thanks for being the temple of light, the source of light, from within, extending to without. We thank you. She undui umbur ai kat aishindu ui kat eroma. Te shin I khandi o ori kat ayum tushundu umburi e kat aishindu ea. Mere katai unshund ure umbore katai shata. And the circle is now open. Continuing to bring attention to your breath and breathing into your belly. Filling that beautiful big red balloon. Following the breath in through the nose and down into that balloon. And on the out breath, allowing that air to escape out through the mouth and emptying, hollowing out that beautiful red balloon. On the next in-breath now, bring your attention to the soles of your feet. See, hear, feel, or recognize beautiful big grounding roots growing from the bottom of your feet. And on the next exhale now, we push those roots down through the grass, down through the dirt, down through the rocks, down through the molten lava, and into the center of the earth, where these roots wrap themselves around the core of Mother Earth. In this core is a beautiful, crystal clear aquamarine crystal. This crystal connects us with the innate knowledge, wisdom, sacred knowing of Mother Earth. This holds the information of everything that was, everything that is, and everything that ever shall be. And on the next in-breath now, we watch those roots as they shoot back up into the cosmos, into the most uppermost parts of the cosmos, and continue to travel back down into our crown chakra, forming a beautiful loop. As it reaches our crown chakra now, we can see that it is a crystalline rod, a pure channel of light, filled vibration and frequency. This crystalline rod now travels down through the crown chakra, down through the third eye, down through the throat, and into the heart, where we see this now change into a small spot of light. As we continue to connect with the breath, this spot of light on the in-breath expands and expands and expands, filling our chest completely.
And as we continue to breathe at a pace that is comfortable for you, this light continues to expand, filling our complete energetic body, our whole energetic field. This huge ball of light now becomes a vortex. And as it is spinning, we see that there is a leaf on the outermost part of the vortex. The leaf is spinning around and around and around. And we realize that we are the leaf. Continuing to breathe gently and deeply. We see, hear, feel, or recognize this leaf now pass through the bottom of the vortex. And as we pass through the bottom of this vortex into a space of everything and nothingness, we know that we are in the heart space. From the deliciousness of the heart space now, we call upon the Pleiadian dragon, the beautiful, omniscient, regal, powerful, all-knowing, blue Pleiadian dragon. And we ask that it comes close enough that we can feel its breath. See, hear, feel, or recognize now a 33-petaled Pleiadian blue rose. This rose holds the divine, pure Christ light. And on the next in-breath now, this beautiful blue Pleiadian dragon places the blue rose into your heart chakra. As this blue rose is placed into your heart chakra, it activates the Christ light within you. I accept this healing with gratitude and reverence. And the dragon replies to us.
Daishin I kant ui umbure awe kataishin di I dai o ai umbure a kata ringa katushin dukuta.
This beautiful Pleiadian rose raises the heart vibration and aids in the ascension of mankind and heals anything preventing the perfect activation and healing of this chakra. It holds ancient, advanced, and sacred knowledge of the heart and aids in all our ascension. On the next in-breath now, see, hear, feel, or recognize a burst of light from the heart chakra. As this Pleiadian blue rose is fully activated. And know that it will enter each and every of the other main chakras and activate there also. I am loved and I am worthy. I am safe and I am free. I am divinely guided and protected. I connect freely and deliberately with the one true prime creator source energy, with my star clan, with my higher self, with my heart, and with Mother Earth. Te o ore ko te shinda are e ko to ai o unto shinda e ke te inga au o ko or push ta intuition e ka to ora ka ta shindi ka te po han shinda undu ore o yo kan te ai o shinda bore ke te shinda ai ka ta. On the next in-breath now, we become aware of our feet. And on the next exhale, we push those beautiful big plantar roots out from the bottom of our feet and allow them to burrow down into the middle of Mother Earth, where once again they connect, wrap themselves around the core at the center of the earth, this beautiful aquamarine crystal, the master crystal, holding everything that was, everything that is, and everything that ever shall be. And on the next in-breath now, we pull those grounding roots right up into the cosmos, where we see it change now into a beautiful channel of divine light, luminescent, pure love force energy that now cascades down through our crown chakra and continues to fill our whole energetic body. On the next in-breath now, we allow that light to enter in through the heart and radiate outwards, sharing with everyone and everything that we come in contact with. Wriggle your fingers, wriggle your toes, bringing your attention back to my voice and to this now moment, calling yourself present. Have a little stretch if you like. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachael.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Beautiful. Thanks, everybody, for joining. We're going to close it off now. I just wanted to say, I'll leave you with that beautiful energy. Susie, hi, Karen, sometimes. Not a lot of questions here. Next week, I had invited somebody else to come and join us called Courtney Beck, who was working in the corporate world, and her partner got sick and she started meditating and had a full-on Kundalini awakening, as you do, and is channeling all the masters, Krishna, Isis, but she couldn't make it. So I invited somebody else to come on. If you want to check out Courtney's work, you go to my YouTube channel or my website and you'll see Courtney Beck. Her work is amazing. She puts out all her channel books for free for people to read. And Jane Ellsworthy, who is a shamanic galactic Syrian Palladian, another galactic gown from down under. I connected with Jane to fill in for Courtney. And she said, I don't know if you know, but we moved out to Broken Hill. Do you know where Broken Hill is, Rachel? It's like out in the middle of Australia. It's like out in the desert. So she's out there in Broken Hill. Hopefully she'll have decent internet to connect with us, but she's a shaman as well as a galactic channel, and she makes drums and she plays the drum and takes us on journeys and all sorts of things. I haven't caught up with Jane for years, but so she'll be our guest next week in the Conscious Awakening Conversations, and hopefully everyone's feeling blissed out and connected to your higher selves and your dragon after that amazing meditation and activation with the dragon energy. Isn't Rachel's voice amazing how deep it goes when she's channeling the dragons? Lots of love coming to you from YouTube. That was amazing, so powerful. Thank you, Rachael. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night, folks. Thank you so much. Yeah, lots of love coming your way from the mob on YouTube and also from the mob in thank you. That was wonderful, Susan says, here in the Zoom room. So remember, if you're watching this on Portal to Ascension or New Realities or ATP Media and you want to be part of the Zoom groups, Sheila does them. She actually does them twice a week. She does the Conscious Awakening series on a Monday night in the US or Tuesday mid-morning in Australia. And I think it's Fridays, isn't it? Is it Fridays, Susie, that you do it, the other one? Or is it Thursdays? It's our Friday. It's Thursdays.
It's our Friday, they're Thursday.
Monday and Thursday.
Monday and Thursday, which
Yeah.
is the cosmic conversation, isn't it? It's more galactic cosmic conversations. And I also do this once a month with a guest teacher in the Inner Sanctum. And we have a little group on Facebook Messenger where we chat and share, swap stories and share teachers and all sorts of things. And coming up on the show this week, I had the most incredible woman on last week, Sarah. Check out Sarah Breskman Cosme, who is a hypnotherapist, and some of the information coming through about Atlantis and Lemuria and the Sphinx. That was amazing, the last show I did with Sarah. And I've got Sue Larson coming on. She's going to talk about timelines and multidimensional realities and how we can deliberately shift our timeline and all sorts of that. We're getting more galactic. So thanks again, Rachel. It was beautiful.
You're so welcome. Thank you everyone for having me. It's been a wonderful way to spend the morning and hang out with you all. So thank you.
And I've just not many of you left now. Just waving to everybody. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much, Rachel and Karen. You say Sheila, but it's Karen. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Big hugs.
Thank you, everyone.
Big hugs.
Bye everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Rachel, so much.
You're welcome. You're so